I currently have an investment portfolio of just over £300,000, and in this video I'm going to go through exactly how much that investment portfolio pays me on a monthly basis and what my plans are for the future. Okay, let's have a look at these investments from high up. So basically I have 3 different asset allocations that pay me money every single month. We have my investments into index funds and ETFs within my stocks and shares ISA. We've got my rental property, and then we have some cash that I have in an easy access account. And let's start off with my Vanguard stocks and shares ISA. Basically in this ISA I have 2 different types of ETFs, so exchange traded funds. And the first one that I have is my Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. It has a value currently of just under 60,000 and it pays a dividend yield at the moment of 1%. Now if you ask me, I think this is quite low in terms of how much other funds pay, and we'll see that in a second, but let's actually see how much this one paid me in dividends. Now taking a look at my most recent dividend payout on my laptop, which is just here by the way, if you see me looking down, the last time they paid me was in July, and this paid me £145.56. However, these dividends are paid quarterly, so to be able to work it out every single month, we're going to need to divide it by 3, of course, and that puts us at £48.52 for the month. Now the next investment that I have within this stocks and shares ISA is another ETF, and this one tracks the FTSE 250, and I don't have as many shares in this one as my Vanguard one, and it has a value of just over £7,500. Now when it comes to the dividend yield for this fund, it's actually better than my investment into the S&P 500 because this one actually has a dividend yield of 3.78%. And once again, when we look at the last quarter, this paid me £127.78, and when we work that out for the month, it comes to £42.59, which I guess begs the question, if this one's paying out a much better dividend, why am I not putting all of my focus into investing as much money into this fund rather than the S&P 500? And the answer is simple. Over the last 5 years or so, or pretty much since I've been very serious about this investing thing, the S&P 500 in terms of its capital gain has just blown this fund out of the water. When it comes to investing into these ETFs, the only thing I'm looking at here is capital growth, and I'm using these dividends and these monthly payouts as a way of just reinvesting that into buying some more shares. Now moving on to my rental property, a few quick facts about it. Number 1, it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom house in the middle of Norwich. It cost me £227,000 when I first purchased it. I never actually intended for this property to be a buy-to-let. When I originally bought this property, I lived in it for 4 years. I bought it brand new back in 2016, and when it came to 2020, when I wanted to move out, I was unable to sell the property because there were some issues around getting certificates for the external cladding system. So I have technically became a landlord by mistake here, but it's not been all that bad. I have obviously received income from it, which we'll get into in a second, and I have actually also managed to pay the remainder of my original mortgage on this property off, and this property is now mortgage free for me. Now, when we take a look at the rental income that I make every single month from this property gross, it's actually £1,300, which may sound great on the outside, but let's take a look at the expenses. Okay, mortgage is £0, of course, which is great. Next up, we have a service charge that I have to pay every year because this flat is a flat within a larger block of flats, and this actually comes to, it hurts me to say this, £4,000 a year, which works out at £333 every single month that comes straight off that rental income. We then have ground rent, which is another thing to do with having a leasehold flat, which is £23 a month. We then have my landlord insurance at £20 a month, and then we have maintenance, where I did actually spend a little bit more than I usually did last year at £1,200 a year, which obviously works out at £100 per month. Now they're the expenses, and they all come off my rental income every single month, but when it gets even worse is when we actually take all of those expenses off and we're set with our remaining amount. I actually have to take 40% of that and put that in a separate pot because I need to be able to cover my income tax on the profits I make from this property. So with all of that considered, that £1,300 a month actually then becomes £494 a month that I make every single month from this rental property. And I know some people will still look at this and go, that's still £500 a month that you're making every single month, and it is mostly passive. When we actually go and ask maybe, let's say, a property professional, they will look at that yield and think that is absolutely terrible when it comes to investing in a rental property. But nonetheless, that's still income, so let's add it to the total and let's move on to the next one, which is going to be my cash savings. Like I said at the start of the video, the amount that I have in here is £10,297, and its purpose is very much, number one, for my emergency fund, so I've got 3 months worth of my monthly bills in here. I've also got some money that I'm keeping aside for a patio that I want to buy next year, and then I've also got a little bit of money in there as well, which I just simply haven't invested yet. Now, with an easy access savings account, you will make money on the money that you have in that account in terms of interest, and I currently have one with a 3% interest right now with Monzo, and last month that paid me £27.52. Realistically, there's not really much else I can say about it in terms of the money that I make every month. I don't really do anything with it. All I do is just see that it comes in, and then it just adds it to the pot and builds that up, albeit very slowly. But with that said, they are the 3 different types of investments that pay me a monthly income. When we actually total all of those up, out of the just over £300,000 I have in these investments, I make £612.63 per month in income, give or take. I would say all of this is mostly passive income, other than when something goes wrong at my flat. But with that said, let's actually talk about what my plans are for the future. And if I'm going to be completely honest, I actually don't have any when it comes to generating income. You see, with my investments, it's all about growing the value of my investments. That's why I've chosen those types of investments. Of course, if I wanted to make some dividend income, there's much better dividend paying stocks and funds and things like that. When it comes to my property, I'll probably eventually sell that and redistribute that money into different assets, such as my investments, maybe a bit into my pension, and I'll probably put a little bit into paying off my current mortgage at my residential property. But in terms of the cash savings side of things, I can't really see that going up anytime in the near future, unless obviously I increase the amount that I have in there. I think with interest rates, they have a much higher chance of coming down than going up, certainly in the next 1 to 2 years. But other than that, I hope you found this video insightful. If you did, please do leave me a comment with something that maybe you took away from it. Leave a like on the video if you did find it useful, and I will see you in the next one.